So I just made a YouTube video about this, but apparently I talked too damn much because it was too long for me to post on YouTube. YouTube wouldn't accept it because it was like over 20 minutes long. So I'm going to remake this video because it's easier than editing the old video, and try to get my main points out. It's not as nuanced as my last video, but I'm going to try to make it short and sweet. So I posted an article that was from Huffington Post, the Gay Voices section, called Egg, Banana, and Coconut Are Gays More Racist? And primarily this was written by a gay white male who is in a monogamous relationship with an Asian male. And just kind of recounting some of the experiences that he and his boyfriend have had in regards to social media, going to different areas of the world, and running across basically what is the 2012 version of the no colored sign, meaning that you see all the these signs that are socially acceptable within LGBT culture, such as no chocolate, meaning no black people, no rice, meaning no Asian people, things like that that you see all the time that are socially acceptable. And for the remainder of this video, I just want to say that I'm going to be using the term gay white males. This does not mean individuals. This does not mean I'm talking about you if you are a gay white male. I'm not. What I'm talking about is LGBT cultural norms. That is what I'm talking about. And the reason I'm using gay white males is because LGBT culture reflects the priorities and the standards of gay white male culture in particular. Yes, they splatter some lesbians in there, but mostly it is gay white males. Because just like in normal society, in the broad cultural society, heterosexuality is the norm and is the standard. Whatever straight white males, their value system is considered normal in dominant society. Same thing within LGBT culture, it's white gay males. So you will see that in normal society, the racism, the sexism, the homophobia, all that stuff. In a microcosm, the LGBT culture is exactly the same, only it's white gay males at the top of the food chain, and everybody else is somewhere in a hierarchy under that. But when it comes to, in dominant culture, when it comes to images of beauty, a lot of things have changed just within my lifetime, of what is considered beautiful and what is not considered beautiful. Because I remember growing up, you did not see images of people of color in anything besides publications that were geared directly to that population. You didn't, images of television, on television and everything else, you did not see. It was very rare to see that thing. And when it did, it was kind of groundbreaking things like The Cosby Show. That was a groundbreaking show because you did not see people of color on television. You definitely didn't see rich people of color on television because that was not even something that a lot of black people themselves would have taken as a reality. And that gave people a role model to strive towards. And role models are very important in our society for every group of people. But shows like that were very groundbreaking because you didn't see it. And then you had a spinoff called A Different World, which showed African Americans going to college, which was also groundbreaking because you didn't, even though black people were going to college, they were, just like in the show, they were going to black schools. And they were still, even though some of them were maybe even going to white schools then, but it was very rare. You wouldn't have, it definitely wasn't a large population of people of color going to colleges back then. And they went to historically black schools because those are only schools that they either felt welcome or would accept them half the time. But anywho, getting back to LGBT culture in this article in particular, I posted an article and I posted it without comment because I knew that people would repost it, and I knew also that people were going to defend the racism in it. And I want to be clear about it, that it's racism in the same way that you have a problem in this culture now where the racist people don't view themselves as racist, and that's part of the damn problem. You see this primarily within like the Republican Party and the Tea Party. They just do not see their own racism. Well, same thing in the LGBT culture. People do not want to see their own racism because they don't accept it as racist, they accept it as something else or justify it as something else. And the first thing that you're always going to hear when anyone posts any kind of article like this is you're going to hear people say, "Well, I don't think that sexual preference or sexual attraction is racism." No, not in and of itself. In and of itself, if you are a gay white male and you are attracted to other gay white males, that is not racist. That is not what we're saying at all. But you do not live at the exclusion of dominant culture. You are still impacted by dominant culture and everything else. So those ideas of what is beautiful, what is not beautiful, what is attractive, what is not attractive, all impacted you and helped form you. So, so just because you are, attracted to gay white males, there's not anything wrong with that whatsoever. But you need to realize that dominant culture has impacted what you find beautiful and what you don't find beautiful. Because look at historically, at some point in time, if fatter people were considered, attractive, and now that's the complete opposite. Does that make that wrong? No. Well, image, what is beautiful and what not changes with time and changes with culture. But you can't tell me that those people back in the day weren't impacted by those cultural norms. They were, because then why all of a sudden would people find big people beautiful and now they find skinny people beautiful? Because those are cultural impacts, and you need to realize that about yourself. So if you are someone who is attracted to, if you're a gay white male that's attracted to another gay white male, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I don't care who you like and who you don't like, but just realize that there is a cultural impact in that. So there are influences that made you like that. Cultural influences that made you like that, especially at the exclusion of everyone else. And part of the reason that you may only be attracted to other gay white males is because there are no images of LGBT people of color that are beautiful. It is very rarely seen. And I'll give you good examples. Black female beauty is something that is relatively new in media. If you open a magazine or see on TV or CoverGirl commercials, for example, if a black woman shows up in a CoverGirl commercial, you are not going to bat your eye twice, because that is something that is now part of normal beauty. Images of Beyonce, Queen Latifah, all that stuff is not. You would, if that shit came on TV while you were watching your program and that commercial came on, you wouldn't even think about it because now it's normal. But 15 years ago, that was not normal. When that stuff first started happening, it caught your attention. When you first saw it for the first time, it caught your attention. Now you can accept that as beautiful. But images of LGBT people of color, is not even on the radar yet. You have images of black female heterosexual beauty on, but still it's just black female. You won't even see necessarily male black beauty, because the only images that you'll still see of that are hip hop culture, thugs, that sort of thing. You don't see normalized black male beauty in heterosexual society, much dominant society, much less LGBT people. And that's what I mean. It's like it's a form of institutionalized racism that's very pervasive within the LGBT culture, and it's just pretty much rampant, and it's invisible. And that's the thing. Anything normal is invisible. And I'll give you an example. Within dominant culture, you have a lot of people that will say stuff like, "I don't understand why gay people have to have gay pride parades. Why do they have to push their sexuality? Why do they have to do all these things so publicly, blah, 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 blah." Because they don't see all the millions of ways that their sexuality is promoted on a daily basis in your face, because it is a norm and therefore it is invisible. For example, they have a problem with, LGBT people on floats and parades dancing in underwear or whatever, but they have no problem with Victoria's Secret's commercials coming on all the time. Like, that is not even seen as promoting or pushing of straight sexuality, even though it is, but they don't see it that way because it's invisible, because it's a norm. But the other one, gay images of LGBT sexuality is not normal, and therefore you notice it more. Same thing with wedding rings. When someone has a wedding ring, that is totally promoting what their sexuality is. But it's not even stated because it's normal. But everyone makes the assumption when you see a wedding ring. Well, most people make the assumption. The dominant idea is that you're married to someone of the opposite sex. Now, we know that in lots of states where it's legal, that may not be the case, but still, primarily, that is what people make that assumption. And it's the same thing, when it comes to internalized homophobia. When a lot of people are not, a lot of gay people have come out, but are not completely comfortable, they still adopt homophobic views because of dominant culture, but don't see themselves in that light. For example, I remember before like dating websites, and so everything is the internet now, but everything didn't used to be the internet. So when you had the biggest gay publications back in the day was Advocate and Out. And I remember that people would always have ads, dating ads, in the back of those magazines, especially like in big cities. And one of the big pushes that they got rid of was people putting in their profile straight acting or no films, because that was identified as a form of internalized homophobia at the exclusion of people that were like that. Because what they were basically saying is that if you were a feminine gay male, that there was something wrong with that. And if this culture, LGBT culture, is supposed to be about diversity and acceptance and people being free to be who they are, which is supposed to be about that, but it's not really. It hasn't ever really been like that. Some people have been trying to make it like that, but it's never really achieved that, still to this day. If we're gonna make that, then we have to eliminate that and point out that that's what that is, and we're not gonna accept it. And that's exactly what they did. They stopped printing any article, any advertisements that said straight acting or no films and stuff. They completely eradicated that. But here it is, jump 2012, and things are online, and you have the new people that have made these sites are not of the same mindset of the people that used to do these sites, because these are new people trying to make money, doing their whole thing. They have not jumped on the bandwagon with that. And so here it is in 2012. It is completely socially acceptable in white gay culture for you to have your no colored sign on your profile. Because it's not viewed as racist, even though it completely is racist. And to emphasize this, you see this in LGBT culture at large when you look at publications. When you go to marriage equality, you are not going to have images of LGBT people of color. It's always going to be two gay white males. All the time, every time. Almost no exception to that, except for every now and then they would throw a lesbian in to fight off the sexism, to say, to appease lesbians. Here it is. Here's two images of two still two white gay women that want to get married. There's your images of that. But you'll see that all the time. If you look at anything that goes viral. Like recently, there was a beautiful image of this Marine coming home and he's kissing another guy. It went viral. So on Huffpo Gay Voices, I've seen it posted millions of times on Facebook, and that is a beautiful image. But it went viral because it's still two gay white men. If that had been two black gay men, that shit would not have been viral. You would not have passed it on. You would not have reposted that shit, because it would not have been something that you would have been interested in. Why? Because of institutionalized racism within the LGBT culture itself. Images of minorities in LGBT culture is not accepted and is not normal. It is not promoted at all. And the thing about it is, this racism is reflected in political arguments, because you have people like Dan Savage that will come out as soon as Proposition 8 in California got passed. Who did he get on TV and blame? He blamed black people. Why couldn't black people vote for this? They should know better, and blah blah blah. As if, like I said, it's that sense of entitlement, as if people should just vote on your behalf because you see it a certain way. Other people are supposed to see it that way too. Well, that is not the case, because white gay culture has pumped millions and millions and millions of dollars into positive images of gay white males, but have not done any of that for any people of color ever. So why would you assume that black people would just vote on your behalf when you don't give a shit about them, period? And you see this in gay white culture all the time. One of the big shows I remember back in the day was Queer as Folk. People love that show. For gay white men, no diversity at all, they didn't even have friends on this damn show that were people of color. They living in a major city and they don't know any people of color that could be friends. Yeah, every now and then Brian Kenny would fuck somebody in the dark behind closed doors, but I guess that was the message I was supposed to get, was it's okay to fuck people of color, but don't bring them around your friends. I guess that was supposed to be the message. But they don't, my overall point is that those images are not accepted. There is institutionalized racism within LGBT culture that is invisible because it is the norm. And until you recognize that, it's always going to be like that. It's always going to be like that until you recognize it, see it for what it is, and then take steps to change it. And because my last video was too long, I'll just stop at that.